to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the update on how my DIY laundry room floors have held up. So I have a video on how I did these floors in my laundry room. It was almost a year and a half ago, and I show the whole process. I'll be sure to link that video up here in the cards and down in the description box, but I show me installing and the whole process of putting in these patterned floors. So these are actually vinyl floors from Floorpops. They are called Floorpops. So they are vinyl stick-on tiles that I put directly on top of the existing linoleum that was in this room. So a lot of people have come to me and asked how they held up. And since it's been about a year and a half, I figured this is a great time to show you. I'm gonna start by saying they have held up great. The quality ended up being even better than I imagined. They're relatively thick tiles. They're not like thin stickers. They're pretty thick, so they add a nice cushion feel. They're not squishy. They're hard like tile, but I would say they feel more like laminate under your feet than like a traditional porcelain tile. So they're really nice, and they have been great quality. We haven't had any issues with them in this space. So I'm going to show you some close-ups of the tiles and what they look like today. But I would definitely recommend them if it's something you're considering and you have a space where they would work. So like I mentioned, I put them down directly on top of an existing linoleum that was in here. It looked like it was like a sheet linoleum. It wasn't individual tiles. So it was a completely smooth surface that I put these on. So there was no grout lines, there was no texture or anything like that. So it was a perfect surface to put something like this down. So I will start by saying that I do not know exactly how they would turn out if you put them over a textured tile or something like that. So the other thing is that I do want to mention is this is one of the most heavily trafficked areas in our house because this door is to our garage. So we come in here every single day. We use the garage as our main point of entry for our home. So this is the most highly trafficked area, and I still am very, very happy with how they look. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the floors themselves. So a couple of things I think it's important to show you is this transition piece was already here from whoever installed these laminate floors in the rest of our house. But for some reason, the previous linoleum was very far below this threshold. So even with adding these on top, it's still below this threshold. So this might be the one thing that someone might have to add if your space is a little different, is a transition piece between the room that you put these in and another room. I think it just depends on what your space is, but this was already here and I have no problem butting them up directly against it. On this side, there's no transition. There's just like this piece of the door. But again, I put them down below and it wasn't really a big deal. I think they probably do cover a little bit of this, but it wasn't an issue like when you step on it or anything like that. So this is a close-up look of the floors after a year and a half. They still look fantastic. I have had no issues with them. This is how they look back here too. There's not a lot of light in this room. See up close, those are the transition lines of where they're butted up together. None of them have pulled up or anything like that. And this is the texture of the tiles, which I think is something people are probably curious about. And they feel hard, just not like a porcelain tile. Like I said, it probably feels closer to laminate on your feet. So like I said, this is the heaviest trafficked area of our house. So it does have some of these like little tiny marks. I think most of the time I can get those up. It's not a big issue, and you honestly cannot see them unless you're looking really close. And the floors are also very easy to clean. I think you could use any type of mop on them other than like a steam mop. I don't think I would use a steam mop on them. But I will either use my regular microfiber mop or a Swiffer on these, and they come clean super easy. And if they get any gunk on them, they're really easy just to wipe off. This is what they look like on the other side. I mean, there's some dirt right there, but you can see it comes right off. None of them have peeled up or anything like that. This one, that's how we cut it originally. It was the only way it would fit. It definitely is not a perfect job, but it really works well for us. that gave you a little bit of look at how they held up. They're not tarnished, they're not peeling up, they're not separating. We haven't had any issues with them. Again, I think they do get those lines sometimes. I think those come off, and even if they don't, it's like totally not noticeable at all. It wouldn't bother me. It might bother some people, but I don't even notice it. I didn't notice it until I got that close up with the camera. So they look really great. We have been really happy with them. Our laundry room is a perfect space for them, A, to use a pattern like this since it's really small, and B, since it's a wet area and they had put this flooring everywhere except this space. It worked out perfectly. So I definitely would have done this again. This was, again, the perfect space to use them in. I think they also have some new patterns. So I will link the ones we used down below, and I will link some of my other favorites just in case you guys want to see them. I will link those all in the description box and in a blog post. But overall, I definitely would recommend these. I have no idea though, however, I think I've had some people ask about using them as like backsplash or something like that. I don't see why that wouldn't work. It just might be harder to clean them as a backsplash. I'm not really sure. So I also don't know how they would stick to a textured wall. So if you have a textured wall, I don't know if this would work for backsplash. And then I had some people ask about using it in their bathroom. I think it would work great in your bathroom, especially if you think the surface would work for them. So if you have really textured floors that you don't think these would go over smooth, then I don't know if it'd be the best choice. But I have seen other people put these over their bathroom tiles. So I will try and look for some examples and see if I can link those down below of people who put them over their bathroom tiles, because I know I have seen it on Instagram. So I think that's pretty much it. I will give you one more look at the floors and then I will close this out. Is in terms of DIY projects that I have done, this is one of the easiest to tackle. I did it completely by myself. It was super simple. So if it is something that you're considering, I definitely think it's something that you can take on. Sometimes a lot of the DIY projects we do around our house, we need both of us, both me and my husband, and they're a little bit more intense. This I did in one day, pretty much entirely by myself. So it's definitely a doable project. And you don't need many supplies, which is what makes it really nice. You just need something to cut the tiles with, and you need to make sure your floor is really clean before you start. But other than that, you really don't need any supplies. So I hope that this answers all of your questions on how these tiles have held up a year and a half in of them being installed in my space. Definitely, if you have any specific questions, please leave them in the comments and I will definitely get back to you. I know I've answered a lot of them in the comments on the previous video, but definitely let me know. And I will see you in the next one.